Hi, this is Rabino from Devil's Digest. I'm here with staff writer Byron Kline after Arizona State dropped the second round matchup against Stanford 79-58 at the Pac-12 Tournament in Las Vegas. And Byron, Las Vegas is a city where you need luck to succeed, but sometimes you also have to make your own luck. Arizona State, once again, falling behind early in the game, 0-6 on the field, dropping Stanford 0-9. Even though they came back later, that was really a prelude to what was going to happen the entire game.
Right, and we've seen this from Sun Devils before in the last week. You know, obviously last week on the road against Oregon, they struggled to start. It's the case again today. They got behind early. They nearly dug themselves out of it. They closed within 3 by halftime, but then Stanford just went on a run there in the second half, and too big of a hole for the Sun Devils this time.
And we talked all year about Stanford being one of those teams that Arizona State does not match up well. They have the inside-outside game, chasing Randall, and then the outside Dwight Powell, which is really your typical inside-outside game. Josh Eustace, just several players that really created a lot of matchup problems. Eric Jacobson getting into early foul trouble again. We joked about him being the 2014 version of Mark West, the former Sun center. And I think just the matchup problems that him being on the bench for long periods of time, as well as Jordan Bashinsky down the stretch, that was really almost waving the white flag to Stanford.
Right, and you mentioned it, 2 players, Jason Randall, Dwight Powell, both of them were on the all Pac-12 team along with Jahi Carson, but Randall, game-high 21 points tonight, Dwight Powell, 15 points. The two, they were inside and outside, they just had it going all night. The Sun Devils could not find an answer for it, and it made it for a long night.
And I think another disappointing factor is the rebounding. You know you're going to go ahead and give up a lot of rebounds to a team like Stanford. They definitely have the length compared to Arizona State. But the fact that Arizona State missed 30 shots and only had 2 offensive rebounds, that almost seems incomprehensible. But just another aspect that really hurt Arizona State tonight.
Yeah, 2 offensive rebounds, both of which were by Shaquille McKissick, so thank goodness for him. But not ASU's best effort. You're right, rebounding's been an Achilles heel for this team all season. I think they were minus 11 tonight on the rebounds. Josh Eustace was great for Stanford down low, along with Nostich and Powell, like we talked about. ASU just couldn't bang in the paint tonight, and it's been a reoccurring theme.
Now I know that Herb Zendek was really trying everything possible in the second half to go ahead and stop the bleeding, but I think when you were giving up 70% shooting from the field for Stanford, I mean, in my opinion at least, I think Eric Jacobson, even though he had the 3 fouls, and Jordan Bashinsky were just on the bench way too long. He had no rim protector. I mean, it was only Dwight Powell that was doing some damage in the paint. A lot of other players from Stanford were doing it. I mean, do you think that maybe midway through the first half, there probably should have been some kind of change and go with a different lineup?
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, yes, they were getting beat on the boards, but Bo Barnes and John Gillian were the only 2 players that really had it going in the first half. They combined for 20 points off the bench. John Gillian came out. He made a 3-pointer to start the second half. He started in place of Eric Jacobson in the second half. And, really, like I said, those are the only 2 guys that had it going for a while. So I think Herb had to ride the hot hand. Unfortunately, when that candle went out, there was no one else there that could pick up the slack. And then by then, Stanford went on their 26-8 run, and it was over.
So if there's any silver lining, Arizona State will hear their name called on Selection Sunday. They're 21-11. They do have the resume to go ahead and be in the dance. Now, will they be in the play-in game in Dayton? That's something that I think is a more real possibility after the loss tonight. Now the question is, what kind of psyche does this team have right now? What kind of confidence or lack of does this team right now have going into the NCAA tournament? Because a lot of people look at this ASU team, and when they go ahead and fill their pools next week, they'll say Arizona State first round exit. Right.
Well, there's got to be questions, right? I mean, you lose 5 of 7 down the stretch. You haven't won away from Wells Fargo since January 29th. They did not look good last week at Oregon. They did not look that great tonight. The first half was fine. The second half got out of control. You start wondering, how's Jermaine Marshall doing? He struggled lately. Jordan Bashinsky had another quiet game. Jahi Carson struggled again today. Obviously Stanford's very long, very athletic. It's a tough matchup for him. But losing 5 out of 7 is not the way you wanted to finish a year, especially after you got that win over Arizona when things were at an all-time high. And there's a few questions lingering now.
Yeah,
definitely.
One of the headliners here in the MGM is Daybrook Copperfield, and I feel that it would have to be that type of magic for Arizona State not to go and have the early exit from the NCAA tournament and really turn their fortunes around. Again, I I expect Arizona State's name to be called on Selection Sunday, so that you can go ahead and rest assured is going to happen. What happens from there on in terms of matchups and how far or how shallow, if you will, Arizona State will be in the tournament is another story. But we'll go ahead and know a little more Sunday and the days to come after that. For Byron Kline, this is Rabino reporting from Las Vegas from the Pac-12 Tournament.